Good morning. I'm Peter Melios from the Finance News Network. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose overnight, building on last week's gains as investors attempted to move on from the crisis that broke out in the regional bank sector earlier this month following the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. First Citizen Bank shares agreed to buy large parts of Silicon Valley Bank, the US Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation said overnight. The deal includes the purchase of approximately $72 billion of SVB assets at a discount of around $16.5 billion. But around $90 billion in securities and other assets will remain in receivership for disposition by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Overall, the blue chip stock index gained 0.6%. The S&P 500 was up 0.2%. The Nasdaq Composite finished lower by 0.5%. To follow on, within the financial sector, regional banks rose broadly. The SPDR S&P Regional Banking ETF was last higher by 1.6%, after climbing more than 3% earlier in the day. First Republic was the best performing stock in the fund, surging more than 11%. PacWest also gained 2.7%. CNBC reported over the weekend that the deposit outflows from small banks to industry giants like JP Chase and Wells Fargo have slowed in recent days. Also, Bloomberg News reported that the US authorities were considering expanding an emergency lending program for banks, which could give First Republic more time to shore up its liquidity. First Republic ended last week down 46.3% as investors contemplated if the plan from a group of banks to deposit $30 billion would be enough to bolster its balance sheet. And Deutsche Bank also rebounded by more than 5% after traders last week targeted the German lender following the forced takeover of Credit Suisse. In technology news, tech stocks fell as an increase in interest rates dampened hopes of a better outlook for growth stocks. Alphabet slid 2%, whilst Meta slipped to 1.2%. And in commodity news, investment funds have abandoned their bets on copper prices rising due to the impact of Silicon Valley Bank collapse and the ongoing financial market volatility. The initial optimism for copper due to China's reopening from lockdown has been overshadowed by fear caused by the banking crisis. Short-term players are now trading copper against the dollar and gold, which have become popular safe haven investments. Also, in the Australian landscape, Origin Energy has agreed to a takeover deal worth $18.7 billion with Brookfield Asset Management and Mid-Ocean Energy. The deal includes building 14 gigawatts of new renewable and storage generation in Australia over the next 10 years. The binding scheme implementation deed includes a payment of $8.91 per share, split between $5.78 and $2.19 in Australian and US dollars respectively. Overall, the S&P 500 sectors were mixed overnight. Energy was the best performing sector, whilst communication services was the biggest laggard. The SPY futures are pointing to a 0.4% gain. Thank you for listening.